Hey guys, welcome to RebookMedia. Today I'm going to show you how to go from this to this using Photoshop. Alright, let's get started. So first off, it was nearly impossible to get the composition of the airplane and the car perfectly aligned during the shoot. So we had to do a lot of correction here in Photoshop. And by the way, this was shot with a DJI Mavic Pro Zoom. So one of the first things I did here in Photoshop was I removed, I set the correct composition here. So if this was the before and this is the after. So I moved the vehicle closer to the airplane, and then I also aligned the airplane perfectly to be horizontal to the image, just like that. And then the next thing I did was I removed the taxi line, the original taxi line there. And then I also removed this this dirt. It's very distracting. So I went ahead and removed that. We also removed some other pieces of dirt from some other sections there. And then finally, I drew in a taxi line behind the airplane, and another taxi line in the center, and then one to the right with a split. Okay, and then finally I added some color correction to the image. So let's go through each step here, and I'll show you exactly how I did this. All right, before we start working on the layer, let's create a copy so we don't lose the layer, the original layer. It's always good practice to make a copy in case you need to undo or revert some changes. So this is the original, and this is the copy of the original here. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to straighten this image out so the airplane and the vehicle are perfectly horizontal to the image. We're going to take the cropping tool up here, and we're going to zoom in to the image just like this. We're going to use the airplane as a guide for this. So click on this straighten tool, and we're going to go from the nose all the way back to the tail, and we're going to let go. So we have a 9-degree correction there, and apply those changes. Now when you zoom out, the airplane is perfectly horizontal to the image. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move the vehicle closer to the plane. So let's zoom in again. Okay, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to use a tool called the Content Aware Move tool. And we're actually going to be using this tool quite a lot today on this project. Okay, now using the Content Aware Move tool, we're going to draw around the vehicle just like this, all the way around. And now we have a couple of options. We can either remove the vehicle, or, which we don't want to do, or we can just click and drag the vehicle closer to the plane. I'll put it right there. I am going to also correct the angle just a bit so it's more aligned with the vehicle, with the airplane. Okay, and then click on done. And when I click on done, I want you to see what happens here. This tool will actually replace what's in the vehicle with any shadings or content that is reading that it believes to be behind the vehicle. And it does a really good job filling in the empty space that's going to be here. Watch this. There you go. Now, we have this space here which looks kind of awkward. So what we can also do is use the same tool to highlight this space here which looks awkward, and we're going to click on remove. Give it a second, and that cleans it up very, very nicely. Okay, now this is what we have. We have the airplane and the vehicle perfectly horizontal to the image. Now, let's remove this patch of dirt up here. So using the same tool, we're just going to draw around the dirt, just like this, and click on remove. Perfect. And we're going to do the same thing in a couple of other areas here. I don't like this dirt because it looks very distracting to the image. We want the focus to be on the vehicle and the airplane. Perfect. Next, we're going to create this taxi line. Now, the way to do this is you zoom in and you want to grab the rectangular tool from here. And we want to try to match the width of the line so it looks realistic on the final image. So you grab the width, you create the line just like this. And yeah, that looks pretty close to the actual taxi line. I'm very happy with this color actually. So let's move this to the center of the vehicle and the plane. And we're going to start from the rear. So we move this line to about the center. Okay, right around there. And let's go all the way back. Just like this. Okay. Click on done. And now to this line, we're going to go to blending options. So FX, blending options. And we're going to click on underlying layer. And we're going to move this to the right. And you're going to see how it starts to kind of disappear. And it starts to blend in with the layer that's beneath this layer. Okay. You're going to have to adjust it to the point where you're happy with the result. And it comes close to the actual taxi line. You can also reduce the opacity so it looks a lot more realistic. And I'm actually happy with this right here. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that works. That works very, very nicely. You can see this crack, see how it blends in with this crack as well. So this works really, really well. Okay, let's hit OK on that. Now we're going to copy this line that we just created. And we're going to paste it so we can use it in other areas. Okay, so let's scroll to the right. We're going to place this line back here. Extend it all the way out. Just like that. All right, and then we're going to copy it. And we're going to paste it. And we're also going to use this for the center between the vehicle and the airplane. Just like this. All right. Now, for this one here, I'm going to make some more adjustments. So, same thing. FX blending options. And I am going to further adjust the underlying layer. So again, it looks more realistic to what I'm looking for. There you go. I'm very happy with that. And this is starting to look really, really good. Really good. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create this split of the taxi line here. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to grab the layer, okay, this layer here that has this taxi line, and we're going to duplicate this layer because we need two lines. So right click and then click on duplicate layer. Okay, I'm going to call this one rectangle up. And then this other one is going to be called rectangle down. Okay. Now let's grab the rectangle up. So this is the curvature that's going to go upwards. And we're going to click on this tool right here, the pen tool. And we're going to click on curvature pen tool. And let's zoom in a bit. Okay, we're going to start the curve right around here. So we're just going to click to add an anchor point. We're going to click another anchor point here. And then on this side, you see how it turns from a plus to a little circle. So you click and you drag holding the shift key upwards, and that creates the curve. And you're going to do the same thing to the other anchor point. Click, shift, drag up, and that's about right there. Now notice how this also created a little curve underneath here. So you want to add another anchor point here and just click and drag it up a bit to correct that. And there you go. We're going to do the same thing. Actually, I think I dragged that up a bit too much here. Okay, let's bring this down a bit. There you go. That looks much better. And we're going to do the same thing with the down anchor point. So select it. We're going to add one anchor point there and another one down here. And with the circle selected, click, shift down right around there. Okay, another circle, click, shift down. And we're going to do the same thing here, anchor point and correct it just like this. Anchor point, pull it out a bit. There you go. Yep, I'm very happy with this. Now that we have our taxi lines, let's remove the original taxi lines from the image. And we're going to go back to our content aware move tool. And we're going to draw. Actually, first we need to select the layer. Okay, and then we're going to draw around the original taxi line, just like this, and click on remove. Okay, the original taxi line is now removed, and we need to zoom in here and correct some imperfections that were created, especially right here. So we're just gonna draw around this and click on remove. And there, that's much better. Okay, and this is what our image looks like now. Not bad. All right, the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do some color correction. So we're gonna scroll up and click on the last layer because you want the color correction to take hold of all the layers. And we're gonna click on the curves tool, and we're gonna bring down the exposure of our image, just like this. All right, and then finally, I'm just gonna grab the cropping tool again, and I'm gonna crop this to a ratio of 4:3. There you go. And this is our final image. Now, naturally, you can play around with the color grading, But these are the basic steps for achieving this very unique look. All right, I hope you learned something today. Don't forget to market your business and be more productive with RebookMedia.com. Cheers.